Okay, hello, and thank you for joining me for this time management masterclass. It's going to be about 30 minutes long. I'm Allie, for those of you that don't know me, and I'm a virtual assistant, a co-owner of Type A Consulting, and I have a mad passion for time management. I love supporting small businesses and individuals and helping them take control of their time so they can achieve their big goals that they have. So today we're going to be discussing how to overcome procrastination and tackle our to-do lists. I wanted to discuss this, especially right now with all of the changes we've been experiencing. I think a lot of people feel a sense of overwhelm or they don't have enough time in their day. So I wanted to cover this topic. So we're going to start off, and I want you to think about how you feel about your time management right now. And if you're on the call, you can chime in if you want, or you can type in the chat and I can read it to everyone that's watching the replay. So how do you feel about your time management now?
I think mine is pretty good, but it could definitely use some improvement. I get sidetracked.
Yep, I get that. Yeah, I think a lot of people are feeling overwhelmed. They're procrastinating. They're getting distracted because everyone's at home right now. Maybe they feel like they have too much on their plate or ineffective scheduling. Elba said, all over the place. I think that we've all been there. That's for sure. So I get it. The feeling of being overwhelmed and frustrated and you don't know where to start. I get that. But I do think that there's a sense of urgency that we should all feel to start taking control of our time. And we need to remember that it's not going to happen overnight, but it does take consistency and creating habits and discipline. And then when all that stuff falls into place, we'll start seeing small successes happen because we're utilizing our time wisely. And then later on, we'll see our big successes happening. So I'm going to start, and you're going to need either like a piece of paper or you can pull up a Word document or whatever. This is kind of an interactive masterclass. So we're going to start, and I'm going to walk you through a 5-step process on how to conquer your to-do list and stop procrastinating. So we're going to take about the next 3 to 5 minutes to write down all of our to-dos. So your tasks that you've been putting off, whether they're important or not, just write them all down. I'm going to do it too. So start by creating that list of to-dos. And we'll take about 3 to 5 minutes. Okay. We probably have a pretty good size list started. And you can always continue after the masterclass is over, but I know mine is long, even though it's just a couple minutes. So we all have to-do lists, whether we already feel like we're practicing good time management skills or not. We all have to-do lists. They're going to be never ending. But what I want you to do now is go through and prioritize all of the tasks that you just wrote down. So say you have 10 tasks. The number one task should be the most urgent and important. Like that task, if you don't get it done soon, it could be a problem for you. So like maybe like paying your rent. If you don't pay it on time, that's an issue. Or, whatever it may be, the number one should be the most important and urgent. And then number 10 should be the least important. Or maybe it's just not so urgent. You could do it a week from now and it would be okay. So go through and order them. And once you have them all prioritized from most important to least important, I want you to go through and take a guess at how long each task would take you to complete. So a lot of times we start our to-do lists and there's tasks that we keep moving from one day to the next day to the next day to the next day until it either we forget about that task or it just never gets done. But a lot of times those tasks are the tasks that only take like 10 to 15 minutes to complete. So it's silly that we put them off for so long. So go through and do a guess at how long each of these tasks would take. Once you've added your guess on how long each one would take, I want you to tally up how many of those tasks would take you 15 minutes or less.
Ali, did you say tap? Can you say that again about the 15 minutes?
Yeah, so once you put the amount of time next to each task, go through and count how many of those tasks would take you 15 minutes or less. So like out of my 13 tasks I wrote down, 7 of those would take me 15 minutes or less to complete each one. So once you find that number, Kat, did you find your number of how many of your tasks? Okay, how many did you have?
4.
Okay, 4. And then Elba, once you have your number of how many of those tasks would take you 15 minutes or less, let me know.
2.
Okay, 2. Okay, perfect. So the reason why I had you pick out those tasks that would take you 15 minutes or less, so for Kat, it's 4 of her tasks would take 15 minutes each. So that's 1 hour. And for Elba, 2 of her tasks would take 15 minutes or less, so 30 minutes. So what I like to do in my schedule when I have to-do lists, I do the same thing, list out how long it would take. I pick out those 15-minute tasks, and I do what's called a power hour. So I have 7 tasks that would take me 15 minutes or less. So I'm going to schedule in 2 power hours into my schedule, and everyone can typically find a free hour, because a lot of times at night, maybe we're hanging out or scrolling through social media or watching TV or whatever. So that's 2 hours out of my week that I just want to sit down and bust through those 15-minute tasks. And then it's done. And it, like for me, I had 13 tasks, 7 of my tasks were 15 minutes or less. That cut my to-do list in half just by already scheduling in 2 power hours into my schedule. So that's something that's super helpful for me to get all of the little tasks out of the way, unless there's something that's super high priority that maybe is going to take you an hour or something. But that's a tip that I like to do, is schedule in power hours for my smaller tasks so I can just knock them all out. There's no distractions, and I'm not going to be checking my email during that time. I'm not going to be on client calls. I'm not going to be, have any distractions around me. And then the rest of your tasks, schedule those into your day too for time blocks. So if, the rest of your tasks were 30 minutes or 60 minutes, or maybe some of them are a couple hours, now you know how long it will take, so you can schedule those into your weekly schedule. But what I'm going to do now, and this is the part of the steps that has to do with procrastination. So overcoming your procrastination. Anyone can make a to-do list, but that doesn't mean it's going to get done. So I want you to look at your to-do list and pick a start date or time. So when are you going to start on this to-do list? And then also pick an end time. So when are you going to have all of these tasks done by? And I want you to tell me when you're going to have all these tasks done by. Because I think that accountability is one of the best things that you can ever do for yourself. Surround yourself with people that are going to hold you accountable. So let me know when you plan to have all these tasks done.
So I have a question, Allie. So
Yeah.
I have included in my list to do are my nagging tasks.
Okay.
So like the basement and the garage.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm giving myself a week for that.
Yeah.
Do I make that into a separate category, or
you
know what I
could.
mean?
Yeah. So like sometimes I have, my business to-do list, for my clients and myself. And then I have my home to-do list where, I need to clean out my closet or take stuff to Goodwill or whatever it is. So you could definitely pick for bigger projects like cleaning out your basement. That's going to take a few hours or maybe over 2 days. Set different finish times for those. But I think giving yourself a start date and an end date is what's really important, because you have a goal to hit. If you don't have a goal, you're probably going to continue to push these tasks off.
I see. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Kat, did you have tasks that were bigger like that too?
I do.
Okay.
I do, but I think you're right. If I don't put a date on it, I just keep pushing it off, whether it's for work, because in my head, that's more important. So
Yep.
I don't clean the dining room. But I'm going to give myself a week to get the whole list done. I think that's more than enough time. I just have to actually do it.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So a week. So we have our start date. So like now, today,
Yep,
tomorrow,
today.
and then
Yeah.
finishing it a week from now. Cool.
Because I
I
can
love
knock
it.
out most of my work stuff today and tomorrow. And I'll still have work stuff throughout the week, but it won't be the nagging stuff. It'll be the everyday stuff.
Yeah.
And then I just need to fit in the big things.
Perfect. Awesome. So it sounds like both of you have accepted your responsibility for this list and you know that you're going to finish it and you have your end date.
So what's interesting about the list is, so that's one, well, what we just talked about, like nagging tasks.
Yeah.
So that's like a different category. But as I'm looking at my list, what I notice is they all have different start dates and end dates.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you like bulk group them together? Like, are there similarities in some of them that you could bulk together?
Yeah. Okay.
Because that might
Yeah,
be
like
something too.
like doctor's appointments.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, maybe so like I know, like I missed a dentist appointment and I missed a doctor's appointment because everything's been shut down, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm going to try to do for anything like that, I'm just going to try to set a day aside, because I know like now you have to wait in your car and before you go into the doctor and they have to call you in, and it's going to be more time consuming to do those appointments. So I'm going to just set a whole day aside and try to schedule all of my appointments within that day. So then they're not spaced out and you're not like, oh, well, I have to run from this client meeting to my doctor's appointment and then back to this. And then, I think days like that for me can be overwhelming because I'm like, oh my gosh, like how am I going to be all these places at one time? But if you do all of your doctor's appointments on one day, that that's your focus. I don't get to focus on client calls today or whatever it may be.
Okay.
And another cool thing about time management too, for if you do go to doctor's appointments and your wait time is long, take your laptop with you. Make sure your phone's fully charged. I love answering emails or, creating content during that time where I'm just waiting in the waiting room. So remember to do those things too. I know I always like kick myself when I walk into a doctor's appointment and my phone's at like 5% battery. I'm like, I can't get anything done right now. So try to remember that too. You can use that time to your advantage to catch up. All right, so I'm going to go through these steps. So we made our list of our nagging tasks, our to-dos, these items that are important to complete, but maybe we've been pushing them off for a while. Then we wrote down we prioritized them all from one to the end, most important to least important. And then we wrote down next to each task how long it will take us and grouped some of them together so we could schedule in a power hour at some point in our week if we have smaller tasks, so we can group them all together and get them just knocked out of the way. And then we set our specific start time and finish date so we can hold ourselves accountable. And so I can hold you accountable. You better bet I'm going to send you a message next Friday to say, how's your to-do list going? And for anyone that's watching the recording too, I want you to declare your start date and your end date as well for your to-do list, because I think that's really powerful when you declare that and hold yourself accountable. So the last and final step is to take action. So both Elba and Kat had declared today, I'm going to start on my to-do list today or tomorrow. It's going to get done. So that's kind of how I overcome procrastination and hold myself accountable. The most important thing is just, making sure that you're setting that finish date and you're holding yourself accountable to that. You guys have any questions or anything to add?
I don't think so. I like writing out the time of how much time it will take, because for some of these things, I spend way more time avoiding them or finding other things to do.
Yeah.
And just getting them done, and to see how much time I think it would actually take if I just sat down and did it makes it feel more attainable than just, thinking like reorganize my entire office seems so daunting, but I'm like, it's small. It would take 45 minutes if I just did it.
Yeah.
So I like that.
Yep, I agree. I had to go to the post office this week to drop something off, and I kept putting it off all week long. And when I did it, I was like, that was so silly of me. Why did I do it? It took me 10 minutes. The
Yep.
post office is only a mile away, but I was like, well, I got to put my mask on. I got to do all this stuff. But then it's like, I look back, I'm like, why did I do that? I should have just got it done.
Yep.
So,
That.
yep. Alba, do you have anything to add or any questions?
No, I think this is a great start. I think, not I think, what it feels like is not having the skills to manage time.
Mm,
Because this helps me to say, oh, I can see why I get stressed. It's because I don't have no control. And I don't
yeah.
have any control because I don't know how to have control. So this
Yeah.
helps a lot.
Good. Yeah. Well, too, if you're interested in learning more time management skills, I just announced today my 7-day time management challenge. So that may be something that you're interested in, Alba, because we're going to do a complete time audit so you can see where your time's going, see where you're wasting your time, or maybe you're spending time that's, should not be prioritized. We're going to establish your time thieves, which is, I use that for the tasks or extracurriculars that you're spending a lot of time, like scrolling through Facebook or watching Netflix for 4 hours a night. Like, downtime like that is good for you, but I know I'm guilty of it now that I've been home so much, watching Netflix and getting wrapped up in a series. So identifying those time thieves and writing down your big goals to make sure that they're established and everything you're doing is taking you one step closer to achieving those goals. And then ultimately just creating an actionable plan for you to overcome that procrastination and, create those skills so you can achieve your goals. So that might be something you're interested in, Alba, and anyone else that's watching the replay, the 7-day time management challenge. And when I post it on social media, the recording of this video, I'll include that link as well. And I'm
Yeah.
also doing a BOGO right now. If you buy one, you can bring a friend for free or split it.
Okay.
The cost half and half too.
Super.
When
I
will
like
that start?
That starts on Wednesday. So this coming Wednesday. But I'll leave the group open for an additional week after the challenge where you can watch all of the replays, and you'll get a workbook that's emailed to you, a 20-page workbook that'll walk you through each day. So I know that right now a lot of people have a lot going on, so you can always go back and watch the replays if you don't get all of the challenges in within that first 7 days.
Mm-hmm. Super.
Well, thank you guys so much for hopping on today, and I hope that
you.
this was useful to you, and always reach out if you have any questions or anything.
Super. Thank you. Appreciate you. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Have a great day.
Thanks. I'm going to go get to my to-do list.
All right. Have fun. Bye.